Welcome back to another episode of Generation Red, the kettle corn of Husker fan podcast, where we try to be sweet, but at times we get salty. I am your host, Ken.
Hey, folks, it's Scott.
I'm Justin.
And we're waiting on Coach. Coach had some parent meetings that were apparently sprung on him at the school where he's coaching right now. So hopefully sometime in the next hour, Coach will be able to join us. And the other Dave is here, GBR. Go Big Red Dave. Thanks for hopping in.
What's up, my friend?
Good times. Hey, you can follow the show at GenRedPod on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can also email us at genredpod@gmail.com. We also have merchandise available on our website. Just go to genredpod.com, click at the gray bar at the top of the page, and that will get you to our merch page. We've got some cool stuff up there. Thanks to Hurrdat Sports Network, which we are a proud member of. We also want to get your opinion during the show. So if you're hanging out with us tonight, please sound off in the live chat. Give us your thoughts on the game that Nebraska just played on Thursday night. Hey, we're 2-0 in the last two games against Power 4 teams in which it was a one-score game. Does this mean that this team is trending in the right direction? As far as I'm concerned, I think it does. I think there's some stuff that definitely needs to be fixed. And maybe we found a bell cow running back that hopefully we don't have to give the ball 32 times a game, especially come the Big Ten schedule. But hey, if we have to, we have to. Or maybe over these next 2 weeks, Nebraska will be able to find themselves a backup running back and some backup time that's likely coming against Akron and Houston Christian. But we're here to talk specifically about the Cincinnati game and give you some score predictions for Akron for next week. So thanks for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. And let's jump in. Guys. Let's take a look at some game stats. First and foremost, Justin, you were talking just before we went live. One of the concerns, it seems, that I've seen, at least on social media, I've probably espoused it a little bit myself, that it looked like the defensive line was getting moved off the line of scrimmage. And as I rewatched the game earlier today, I kind of noticed they weren't getting moved so much as they were just getting put in the spot. That made it advantageous for their zone run scheme, correct?
Essentially. Yeah, because just in talking about a zone, like a lot of people, when talking about zone run, a lot of people they understand what we mean kind of by a zone run. And essentially you can think of a zone run just like you think of a zone block or zone coverage, right? It's you're covering a space in zone coverage, and zone blocking, you're blocking a space, as opposed to just blocking a player. You have an assignment for a space. And so essentially, the way it works with that is, they prefer linemen that are big, wider guys. They don't necessarily need guys, when you're talking about getting blown off the ball, typically you're talking about shorter, explosive linemen, right? Strong, shorter, explosive linemen that are going to back you off the ball. When we're talking about zone blocking, it's big, wide guys. Because it's not just about pushing. They're literally trying to get their body in between the defender and the ball. Essentially, it's what it is. They're going to be stepping down all in unison, all in coordination at the same time. What they're trying to do is they're trying to flank their blocker so they can create an opening. So they move the point of attack laterally, essentially. And then the running back at that point is looking for space. He doesn't necessarily have a gap to attack. He's looking for space, whether that be in the cutback lane, whether it be in front of him. He's looking for spaces to run where the defenders aren't. And he's going through progression just like he has to make the right reads just like a quarterback does. The defenders then also have to move into that space, right? And in the chaos, emerging from the chaos, that offensive line is trying to create problems and then exploit those problems, in essence, right? And so they're just trying to get downhill and quickly with lateral steps with their blocking. And essentially, sometimes what they do is they let our aggression get the best of us, and they'll let us take that step inside so they can turn and block us out of the play. And then on a touchdown drive, and I'll break this down in a video tomorrow. I did a little bit on live stream, but more in detail tomorrow. On a touchdown drive, they went quarterback run, zone run, zone run, zone run, reverse, quarterback run for the touchdown. That was the Swornsby one where he went to the left side for the touchdown. And they ran that reverse. Or not the reverse. It was like a jet sweep, right? Right before. Yeah, it was kind of like, it was a reverse, essentially. Yeah. But the reason they did that is because they set that up with the zone read, right? We were doing the zone read, setting up with that blocking. And then with the zone blocking, your defense has to be a little bit patient, right? They don't want to step up too early, but they do want to run fill correctly, right? Now you get them trying to step into those run fits, and then you get them laterally going with that reverse. And now that hurts them because now they are open in space and you have this, everybody's going this way and flowing this way because you're used to being aggressive and trying to crash down on that and follow its own read. And now all the defense is going this way and you get them running this way. Well, now they feel like they have to be aggressive and step down because they just got hit with the reverse. What do you do then? Well, you hit them with a zone blocking and a zone run scheme to where their aggression now when they step down is going to get the best of them. Sorensby takes it to the outside because we crashed down inside too hard. He takes it around us out for the touchdown. It's a concept. It's a scheme that was utilized against us to perfection in certain cases, in certain instances, in certain drives. In other instances, we stood up and we handled our business. But yeah, there were some question marks. But the good thing is that the fact that it was schematics means we can correct it on the film.
Absolutely. Good point. Good point. And now, how about if you look on the offensive side, what was it that Nebraska struggled with the most when it came to it just didn't seem like there was a lot of consistency on offense, or what didn't seem to be a lot of rhythm at times. It seemed like every time they'd complete a pass that was, a couple yards beyond the line of scrimmage, there were looked like 18 red shirts there almost immediately. So what was it that Cincinnati was doing differently that made it so easy for them to come up and make those tackles?
I think the biggest thing, and I'm not fully through the offense film,
okay,
but initial of what I'm seeing is a lot of the throws Dylan made were high percentage throws. But in some instances, there were better throws to be made, better plays to be made that could have got us more yards, more efficient plays. There's just better throws to be made. Even though he completed a high percentage, there were better throws out there on certain plays where he may have taken, the easier route instead of making the more difficult throw, which in essence is okay. You'd rather him do that than, take too big of a risk and throw the ball in the harm's way. And I think me and Brian on the show talked about it coming to the game. And I think I talked about it on here. They're just going to take what the defense gives them. And that's exactly what he did. Right. That's part of this offense, take the defense, take what they give. And if you can beat them over the top, beat them over the top. If you can't, just take the throws that they give you. But there's room for improvement. Absolutely. 100%. But the separation our receivers are getting much better.
Oh, for sure. Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter certainly look like upgrades over Jamal Banks and Isaiah, whatever his name was. He dropped a lot of crap last year.
Oh, you talking about Isaiah Nair?
Yeah, Isaiah Nair. That's it. Yeah. It seemed like they really beat that one-on-one coverage a lot better than what we were seeing last year. Because Dane Key, for as tall and as lanky as he is, that first catch he made, and he just made that dude look stupid. To get another 6 yards was pretty amazing. That little juke he put on him. Let's just tell you what. Let's pop in here and take a look at some stats from the game. Right there. Oh, you know what? I should remove the banner, otherwise you can't read it. Right.
Whenever you get done with those, I have some stats as well.
Cool. Those are the team stats. That's just directly from ESPN. Thank God for ESPN. But yeah, Nebraska really efficient on third down, 1 for 2 on fourth down, almost 100 yards more of total offense, even though it was fairly similar to what Nebraska produced in every game last year on average. Kind of expected a little bit more. Rushing 113, passing 243. It was an effort you would expect in a first game, quite frankly. I mean, as frustrating as it was to watch Thursday night, at least for me, watching it back today, it wasn't as frustrating. So I'm like, this is a first game, and this is a first game with a sophomore quarterback who's I think, made some strides. I think there's a few throws, like you said, he could have made differently. There was that one on that 4th down play that we disagreed with on Twitter. I thought it was a bad call to go for it on 4th when they should have punted. But if Dylan makes the right read, it's 1st down, and you never know. That's probably at least 3 points, if not another touchdown on the board. So we basically held the ball for 2/3 of the game, and we only beat them by 3 points. So some of that's got to change. That scoring efficiency has got to change. So the next one I've got is just kind of the team and the individual leaders. So there they are. A lot of the same information. I was surprised to see that Isaiah Hunter was the leading receiver when it came to yards. I thought it was going to be Dane Key, but hey, I'll take 65 yards every game out of that guy, especially in the Big Ten. I'll take it. No, especially if he's spreading it out to 7 or 8 different receivers like he did Thursday night. So anyway, those are the stats I've got. Go ahead, Justin. What else do you got going?
I think I just wanted to point out the specific numbers against the zone blocking, against the zone run. Sorry, to kind of further show my point here. So looking at the total team rushing for Cincinnati, 202 yards on 30 carries. So 6.7 yards per carry, 6.7 yards per carry. Of those, 16 attempts were zone runs, 5 were gap runs, and 5 were scrambles. Okay. On the 16 zone run attempts, they average 8.9 yards per carry. On the gap runs, 5 attempts, they had 6 yards, they average 1.2 per carry. So that right there is kind of what I was talking about, the zone run being the issue. 16 attempts, 143 yards, 8.9 yards per carry on zone runs, and 5 yards for 15, 5 for 59 on scrambles, which a scrambling QB in this essence is also sort of an extension of that zone run scheme. So just to put it in a little bit more perspective there for y'all, that's how bad the zone run killed us. For what it's worth, Michigan is a zone run scheme. So
thanks for the good news.
Not saying we will lose, but it's
got a little bit of work to do.
There's an impending there's a challenge on the table, which is a good thing.
For certain. So do you have any other stats or anything you want to move on and just kind of talk about what we thought was good from the game, and then we'll kind of talk about some of the things that need some work. So the good for me, I'll just start. For me, the good was obviously Emmett Johnson. We've got a running back. We've got a guy that can find holes where there really weren't too many at times. He made some holes. Stronger legs. He definitely looked stronger. Didn't go down by first contact. That was fun to see. It was fun to see Mahomes. I was about to do it. Timu Mahomes.
Won't you do it?
Run out of the pocket a little more often Thursday night and get down and be able to that little rollout he did to the left that he made that toss to Lindenmeyer was pretty impressive. Just the body control and the ability to put the ball where it needed to be. It's just impressive to see what he's doing. So those were the good things for me. I thought I saw some good, especially in the defensive secondary. Hey, you only give up 69 yards passing. You've either got a really crappy quarterback that can't spin the ball, but it looked like he could throw it pretty good. Or you've got a really good secondary, because they really held him down with basically no sacks in the game and not much pressure in Sorsby's face. So that was pretty impressive. So that's the good I saw. How about you, Scott? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd say that if I'm looking at Raiola's performance, I think it was top notch. Kind of like what you were saying, Justin, how he was just kind of working with what he was given. But there were many times where the pressure could have been mounting on him, and he may have felt tempted to play hero ball and try and take the game in his own hands and try and make things work that may or may not have worked. He could have taken more risks. But in the first game at Arrowhead with a, extremely intimidating, I want to say intimidating, but an electric, exciting environment where he, he could have made some worse judgment calls, and he didn't. He made very good judgment calls throughout most of the game. And the ones that were not necessarily the best ones, didn't end up biting him in the butt, which, thank the Lord for that. But I just was very happy with what Dylan did with what he had. Couldn't have asked more from him, knowing that we won the game. Yeah, Emmett, I loved seeing what he was doing in that first half, and I would have liked to see more out of him out of the second half, but a lot of that was just scheming and all that fun stuff. So can't really knock the guy for that. And it didn't help that there wasn't too much behind him that was giving him a little bit of reprieve. But yeah, Isaiah Hunter and Dane Key, like we said, they look good. They look pretty dang reliable. And then Luke Lindenmeyer, what a tank. What an absolute tank of a dude.
Great feet.
Super physical. There's two pass plays that I'm thinking of. The one where he was going down the sideline and dragged a dude with him. And then, that last jolt, if that guy didn't do that, he put his entire weight into it and pulled him back half a yard. That was a touchdown.
That's a penalty in the NFL.
Yep.
It's a hip drop tackle. It's a hip drop hip drop tackle. And it's a 15-yard penalty because it causes a shit ton of injuries.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what hurt Joe Mixon last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't called. But yeah.
Yep. If it wasn't for that, that's end zone right there. So I'm very happy with what Luke Lindenmeyer looks like thus far. And then obviously special teams. Knocking a 52-yard field goal to get our first points on the board was just like such a, it was weird. It was weird going through the rest of the game where my only gripe was kickoff returns, that I felt like we left a lot on the table for what we could have done with our kickoff returns. But solid special teams performance overall. Special teams, Dylan Raiola, a little bit of our running back room, little bit of our receiver core. For our first game, I can't complain too much for our offense. And then defense, our defense, there were some good things there, especially our secondary, like you guys said. I know that you, Justin, have very succinctly described that our woes on our defensive line wasn't necessarily because of pure ineptitude. It was just getting out schemed. But it just wasn't fun to watch. But there were some things. There were a few things that I could look at and be like, okay, specifically the first half. The first half around about 5 minutes left in the first quarter. With the whole second quarter, we looked absolutely lights out. And so that I was really happy to see. So I know we can do it more consistently throughout the season. We just got to figure out how to work with those schemes, especially as you said, with Michigan coming up here soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are some of the positive things I noticed.
Go ahead, Justin.
For me, positive special teams, of course. The field goal kicking, the field goal unit, essentially. Overall, the offensive line did fairly well. All things considered, I think that's a good game to grow off of. We had a couple issues. Elijah Pridgett came into that one drive and was moving people backwards, but got a penalty at the goal line. That was little things, right? Talent was moving people off the ball, but then you get down to the 1 yard line, that penalty keeps us out of the end zone. The mental errors that we're talking about, a separation, route running, one of the better games I've seen in a long time in terms of our receivers creating separation. I just think it was a lot of calm composure from Dylan. I think he didn't get too rattled. He didn't panic. He just kind of did. I think at this point he's got a good command of the offense and knows the offense. And I think it's just about him. I think if we were down in that game, he might have taken more risk. Maybe he would have stretched the field a little bit more and taken some more of those, throws that would have got us a little bit more down the field. But that's something that we'll see in time. So overall, I thought he was composed. Emmett was great. Separation for the receivers was good. But finishing drives, I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. People did not like the fact that I said I was disappointed after the game. I was disappointed for this reason. Think about in the days we were winning big, and if we didn't beat a cupcake by 50 points, we were disappointed in that, right? If they scored 14 points on us, if the game was 47-14, we were disappointed, right? We're like, this should have been 60-0,
Yeah.
That's the kind of disappointment I'm feeling. My expectations are higher. So my baseline is higher. I expected to go and beat that team and cover the spread, and we didn't. And I'm not going to sit here and be able to say before the game we should beat this team by multiple scores, and then come in after the game we win by 3 and say, yeah, everything's great. I feel great about it. Everything was fine. No, that's not the case. We won by 3. We left points on the field. Okay, we gave up way too many yards. At the end of the day, that is true, but that doesn't take away from the good. Dylan was good. The offensive line was good. All things considered, against Corleone, like you said, he did wreak havoc up in the middle a little bit, but that's a monster up there.
Yeah, it is.
Wide receivers created separation. Coverage grade was excellent. I think it was a higher cover grade than we had all last season. So linebacker play was pretty good. Overall, I feel really, really good about the performance. That being said, we just left points on the board.
Yeah, my guess is we left about 14
on the field,
on the board. You get that touchdown that you should have gotten on the Pritchett penalty, and even Holgerson said that. Yeah, we got the penalty, but we're still first and goal from the 6. There's no reason you should not be able to execute well enough to get 6 yards.
100%.
End of story. So he wasn't happy with that at all. He's now using the Pritchett penalty as an excuse, which I appreciate that for certain. And you should have probably had another 7 points at the beginning of the third quarter. We were driving. If Dylan makes the right read and gets that throw out there, there's a very good chance we're going down and scoring. And then at that point, the game's essentially over.
Yeah.
And then of course, see, here's my only concern going into this season. If you get up by 17 on Cincinnati, does Rule walk over to Dana and go shut it down, or does he let him keep scoring? That's my only fear, because Rule's one of those guys. He's said it many times, I don't want to embarrass people.
Yeah.
But you're in the playoff era. You're in the era now where you may not win your conference, but you need to win pretty enough and go 10-2 to get in the playoff. If there's another Big Ten team that's outscoring opponents by 29 and you're only outscoring them by 14, that 10-2 team's getting in before you are.
Correct.
So you got to score. So
Correct.
that's my only fear, is that I'm hoping he figures out, yeah, we've got to go down. We got to put our boot on their throat. If we can beat Michigan, for crying out loud, by 20, if we're 21 points better than Michigan, that'd be pretty nice to go out there and score more than 21 over Michigan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that's just me. The bad. I don't have a category for the ugly. Don't worry. We're not going to do that. We're just going to go with the good and the bad. And I kind of hem and hawed whether or not I wanted to throw the bad out there because, negative energy and all that fun stuff. But you know what? There was some bad stuff. For me, it would have been the details, the things that Rule has talked about, specifically about Elijah Pritchett. He false starts in practice. He false started at a key moment in the game. That's bad to me. The other bad is that they couldn't punch it in from the 6-yard line, for crying out loud. When you had them gassed, you absolutely had them gassed. So this team still has to figure out how to take what they want, not just go into kind of a little shell once something goes wrong, because it seemed like that was happening. I know for me, we got toward the end of the game and Malcolm Hartzog gets flagged for that Rudy Tooty penalty that to me wasn't much of a penalty in the first place. And I'm like, oh, great. He lost this game. In fact, I texted, me and Coach were texting. I'm like, oh, shoot, Mark, he just lost us the game. And then 20 seconds later, I'm on a completely different emotional level than I was at that moment. It was the weirdest thing to yo-yo like that, But that's who Hartzog is. He's going to give up plays, and he's going to make plays. And my prayer is he makes a lot more plays this year than he gives up. So,
agreed.
But other than that, I couldn't see returns were bad. We got to figure out the return game. And I know that is a work in progress, no doubt. But man, long snapping looked great. And like Scott was saying, special teams didn't screw us. They did a good job other than the kick out of bounds. And you noticed, and I heard this on a couple of other podcasts, as soon as that ball went out of bounds, that dude never touched another kickoff. It was Cunanan the rest of the night. So it started with, I believe, Alvano kicked off the first one, which came up quite short. Then John Hull came out and kicked that one that went out of bounds. And then Cunanan was out kicking the rest of the night, best as I can recall. So Mike Eckler's not playing. He's not playing.
At all.
He wants to see what guys can do when the bullets are live.
Correct.
And he figures out which is the best guy that knows how to put his damn flak jacket on the right way.
Yep.
So that's what I've got anyway. How about you guys? Go ahead. Whoever wants to take it.
I think I've already given my bad. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think we've all pretty much seen what
Same.
didn't look good. The schemes on the defensive line specifically, we were just getting out schemed. Yeah, it's just the details just got to get hashed out a little bit more. But to go back to the good, the details have looked better historically in this first game, especially against an opponent that, I mean, Vegas has them as a 20-point favorite against, who is it? Oh, I just saw it. Vegas came out with, who would it have been? I don't remember. Let's check. I want to know. Bowling Green.
Okay.
Bowling Green. They have them as a 20-point favorite over Bowling Green, which had a better season than Cincinnati last year. And so Cincinnati's not as bad of a team. I think we're going to find out at the end of the season that Cincinnati's a better team than we may have thought going into the game. At least I'll speak for myself than I would have thought. 21-point favorite over Bowling Green. So, yeah, just small details, schemes. Let's get a little bit. Let's let Dylan Raiola let a little bit loose here. Kind of like what you were saying, Dad. I do agree. That is my criticism in this modern day. I know that that Rule is trying to pioneer this new age of college football, and he's doing a lot of things to pioneer that. But I think the one thing he's going to have to change is you got to kind of blow teams out to make a good resume for yourself to get into the CFP, just like you were saying. So I'd like to see a little bit more razzle dazzle. I'm a little bit selfish. I like the razzle dazzle. It's kind of fun.
As Mark Packer used to say all the time on his show on Sirius XM radio, they damn sure got the frisbee catching dogs to get out there and score some points. So
I like it.
All right. So what do you guys think needs to improve the most before the Michigan game? I think we know. Stop the run, dang it. Make sure we got a solid scheme to combat that zone scheme that they're going to want to run.
I think it's just making sure that the defense sets the tone. If you let their offense come out and establish their game plan, then you're going to be on your heels and you're going to have to find a way to out-scheme them to get back in the advantageous position. So I think our defense just needs to come out early and set the tone. If we can come out early, we can stop the run. If we come out early, we can get some pressure on Bryce Underwood. Then all of a sudden, we are in control. But if we come out like in the second half, they kind of got us sort of their heels in the second half, and they got a little momentum, right?
Yeah.
Consistency on offense, right? If we're getting stops, we need to get points on the board. Michigan, it's not a team that we're going to be able to just sit there and stop and not score, stop and not score, and get away with that at the end of the game and have an opportunity to come win at the end of the game. You're going to have to, if you get down on that side, if you get in the red zone, you have to get 7. You're going to have to get 7 against this team. So I think it's going to be a matter of coming out and being the team that sets the tone defensively. Get their offense behind the sticks as much as possible. If you get their offense behind the sticks, they're not going to be able to run the ball as much, right? Naturally. So, that's the biggest thing. Just get out, be the team that sets the tone early, finish drives, and then everything else will come to fruition. I see somebody in the comments, need more explosive plays. Don't need to worry about explosive plays. No, we don't need to worry about that. They will come. Those plays will come. You got to execute. Right? Execute and finish drives. We're worried about explosive plays when we can't score from the 5-6 yard line. Why are we so worried about explosive plays? I don't understand this. I get it. It's exciting to get explosive plays, but if they're that easy, we just throw over the top every time, right? If you execute on the little things, then the explosive plays will open themselves up. And that's what we got to do. Work on the little things, the underneaths. Let them be more consistent. take the throws that set up the deep pass. We didn't do that. Okay, so we didn't take the deep ball. We got to set that up.
Yeah, I agree. I think what you said there as far as what needs to improve most for me is obviously make sure the defense sets the tone, make sure that zone rushing scheme for Michigan has a hard time. And if I don't know if any of these teams we're going to play coming up run anything similar to that and all between Houston Christian and Akron, I don't think it much matters. But I bet they'll be practicing a lot of that after what happened Thursday night.
One thing to focus on, though, like you still can't get penalties against these teams, right?
Nope.
There should be no penalties against these teams. In coverage, your offensive line, you have an advantage in every facet. There's no reason you should be jumpy. There's no reason you should be grabbing, right? We should be able to beat this team and not commit many penalties. We should be able to beat this team and be able to beat them well and effectively.
Play clean football for sure. And as you said, worried about explosive plays. Dana, he's not worried about him himself.
Well, he wants explosive plays. He wants explosive plays, but I think everybody just wants us to throw it, blow the top off the defense. When he's talking about explosive plays, he's even talking about those underneath plays blowing up for 20, 30 yards. He's talking about his playmakers making plays, like those things. But that comes when you execute at a high level, when your blocking sets up, when your quarterback hits the timing, when he throws it in the right spot, when you're, and everything works. Explosive plays come.
And again, Dana mentioned too, the blocking downfield was a little lacking on Thursday night. They got to work on that. He said there were some plays that could have popped a little further if there was a little bit more blocking downfield. So
I saw that,
and I have a feeling they'll be running a lot of that this week too. So for certain, that's it. That's it. Get better blocking downfield. Let the explosive plays happen when they happen, but make sure you execute to the very best of your ability on each snap. And good things will happen. All right. So we'll get to our game ball awards now that we've kind of finished covering the game. For me, I give the game ball to Emmett Johnson. 32 touches, I believe it was. 25 of them on the ground as a rusher for 105 yards, 104, something like that. It was like 4.3 yards per rush, whereas the rest of the team didn't even average a yard. So it was pretty good performance by him. Only one drop. A ball that if he doesn't drop, he's got some space in front of him. Who knows? That could have been one of those explosive plays we've been hunting for. He just happened to, I think he was looking upfield a little early before that. It's like me when I swing a golf club. If I'm looking where it's going before I see the club head hit the ball, I'm not going to find where it's going because it ain't sure going straight. So, but yeah, that's it for me. Emmett Johnson. How about you, Scott?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Kyle Cunanan. As I was kind of alluding to earlier when we were talking about the good, I mean, nailed a 52-yard field goal, made his other one. It just felt nice to have a special teams performance in the points department that was positive. And just this has always been the thorn in our side since the Frost era, I believe, that we just haven't had a consistent place kicker that can consistently do stuff for us. Now, this is just one game. It's a very small sample size. We'll kind of have to see how it plays out throughout the rest of the season. But for the sake of breaking the trend of bad place kicking, Kyle Cunanan, you get my game ball award. Thank you for, winning us the game. If he didn't make those, we would have been in a much more stressful situation. So, good on you, buddy.
Yep, for sure. 2 for 2 on extra points, 2 for 2 on field goals. Made sure that Cincinnati was basically playing from behind the rest of the game. Really, it was a lot of the reason why. So that was great. And you, Mr. Justin.
Yeah, so I got to go with the man himself, Mr. Vincent Shavers. As we know, played an excellent game, forced the fumble, the huge fumble, had a 92 coverage grade and a 90.9 overall grade defensively. So,
wow.
Hard to beat that. I think there's one player in college football that had over a 92 coverage grade. and the top player, I think, in college football had like a 93 defensive grade, and he had a 91. So it's pretty good, and he's a sophomore. So gotta go with Shivers
for sure. Moonbot. Yeah, for those of you who are listening to this podcast, Moonbot in the live chat says, I think we start getting plenty of big plays. If Dana with a 5-star QB can't get it done, then there's something unexpectedly wrong going on.
We will. The difference between last year and this year is you have a offensive coordinator that came out week 1 and addressed that the offense was a problem. We had a offensive coordinator that came out in week 10 last year and didn't know how many yards per play his offense had. So
there was a stunning lack of self-awareness.
Big difference. So I think we're okay.
For certain. Oh my goodness. You know what? There was one thing I forgot to mention when we were on the Cincinnati game on the bad stuff that I saw. How horrible was the ESPN crew?
Oh my God.
I mean,
awful.
The rules analyst didn't even think that was a catch. And I'm like, how more obvious is that catch?
He described a catch while it was slow-mo replaying. He literally was like, yeah, to be a catch, he has to catch it, tuck it, and turn up field and take a step. And it was like, he was like, as he was saying that, the receiver was like,
check.
And they even gave him a couple extra steps for good measure.
And then he was like, yeah. So it's a fumble. And I was like, bro, you look. All right. Thank God the replay crew doesn't listen to him.
Yeah, no kidding. And then you had the guys in the booth. It was like, could they be more cheering for the Big 12? I mean, it's like we were talking as I was watching the replay today. I'm like, it is the college football industrial complex. It's just so biased.
And usually I don't buy into commentary bias, but that was crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
It was weird.
Alrighty, so let's turn our attention to the Akron game. Scott, I know you said you did a little bit of deep dive on the team. I haven't really looked at them at all. I just kind of came up with a score prediction based on kind of the line. I think the line's set at 35. So anything you want to share about Akron that's kind of got you fired up as to how this team's going to stack up against the Huskers?
Yeah, well, I wasn't really planning on looking into them all that much just because it's Akron, and I already said last week that I wasn't planning on it, but then just curiosity got the best of me. Nothing really crazy to look at. There's really nothing on the defensive side or offensive side that we can particularly point at and be like, oh man, that could give us a big thorn in our side. I'm sure there's playmakers, and I'm sure there's going to be a few stat guys individually that may, there's always, I feel like at Nebraska, we just always have that one guy that just kind of ends up being the name that's called a lot. So we'll see if that happens, but essentially Akron's just, they haven't been doing good for quite a few seasons. They got Joe Moorhead as their head coach, which is strange that they are so lacking in offensive production when he's an offensive minded coach. He did really good things at Penn State and Oregon and even at Mississippi State. I forgot that he was the coach where he was basically going to get fired and then wins the Egg Bowl. That was kind of their stipulation of like, hey, if you don't win the Egg Bowl, like we're firing you. And he wins it. And then the press asked him about it. And he goes, if you guys think I'm getting fired, you can pound sand and kick rocks. And then he gets fired anyway. I remember that. I was like, oh yeah. Cause that was, I think, what led up to Mike Leach. So he did. He's done some good things offensively. I mean, he turned the Fordham program around. He's done some great things, but at Akron, he just hasn't produced. He's got a very, very below average win-loss record at Akron, which, I mean, Akron's not exactly a program that you want to build, but he went 2-10 in 2022, 2-10 in 2023, 4-8 last year. And then obviously he starts the year 0-1 at a home game, gets shut out, loses to Wyoming of all teams, 10-0. They're just not a good team. Fun fact though, is that I don't know if it's a fun fact, but they do run a spread up-tempo RPO style offense. So with what we did run into with with Cincinnati, there's a chance that they'll obviously try what was successful for Cincinnati. But they have an immobile quarterback. He has 0 stat lines in the running column throughout his entire career. He played at NC State, some other random, I think it was Cal. He played for NC State for 3 years, Cal for 1 year, and he's been at Akron for 2 years now. So he's not a mobile quarterback. So at least we can be thankful for that. But their starting left guard is a true freshman. Granted, he is 320 pounds, 6'3". Not exactly a small guy by any means, but he is a true freshman. So I really expect our defensive line to do some fun stuff there. Like I said, there's no real weapons that I can look at statistically from previous seasons, transfers coming in. There's really minimal significance in any of their skill level guys. Same thing on their defense. Nothing that really particularly stood out to me when I did a deep dive on them. They do run a 4-2-5. So we're likely to kind of see that zone coverage that we saw with Cincinnati, where you get 5 defensive backs back there, probably all running zone. So other than that, I mean, there's really nothing that I could point out that I'm like, oh man, this might give us a headache. So that's good, I guess.
That's an interesting question from the other day. Was he the coach of Fordham when we played them some years ago? 2018,
No.
I believe it was. No, that was Bethune-Cookman. Never mind.
Yeah, we played Fordham. He was the coach at Fordham from 2012 to 2015, and I believe we played Fordham somewhere in the Frost era, right?
I think so.
I believe it was the Frost era. So,
alrighty.
Yep.
Anything to add to that, Justin, or should we just jump into our score predictions?
Yeah, just quickly. I don't know about Alex Adams' situation. That's the only thing. Alex Adams is there. I think he's second team all MAC. And coming to the season with lower body injury, was starting week 1, but he played 28 snaps, but didn't get a reception. So curious to see what happens with him. He's kind of, I think he's one person that can maybe stretch Nebraska vertically. But yeah, Ben Finley, the quarterback, struggled terribly. 16 for 38 against Wyoming, 139 yards a pick. Yeah, it's not going to get any easier for him. So it's just a mismatch all over. So let's go ahead and get predictions.
get it over with.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, when we did our Roulade versus reality show, I had us winning by 49 on the Roulade side and 42 on the reality side. I'm actually going to split the difference and say the Huskers win by 46, 49-3. And I don't think they get that 3 points until late in the third or late in the fourth quarter against like the fourth string defense. So how about you, Scott?
Yeah, I got us winning 45-10. The only reason why I see the 10 points happening is because, well, if we know Rule, he's going to turn it all the way back. We're going to put in third and fourth stringers, and they're just going to end up in the end zone at least once because of that. Where do we get those 3 points? Probably more or less the same. Who knows? Maybe we get caught with our pants down a little bit. I don't know, man. It's tough to say why we get 10 points scored on us, but we will.
Alrighty, Justin, go for it.
Yeah, I don't remember what my score was. Was it 47-0?
45-0.
45-0. Okay, 45-0. That's my score. Nebraska, so that puts the under. So if you're a betting person, that's going to hit the under because I think the over-under is 47, if I'm not mistaken. Rowla has over 200 yards passing, 3 touchdowns passing, multiple running backs score, and we have over 200 yards on the ground. Over 150 yards on the ground. And we won 45-0.
45-0. I like it.
It's rock.
I like it. So
when was the last time we had a shutout?
Phew.
It's been a minute. Let me ask AI.
Have we had one since 95 when we shut out Missouri 57-zip?
6. Oh, that was when we were shut out. Arizona State in 2000,
no,
or
that was
1996.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't a good one.
Yeah, a little PTSD there, bud. Thanks for bringing that back
That
up.
wasn't a good one. When was Nebraska's last shutout, and that did not pull up the result I want.
No,
That was the wrong direction.
That's silly.
There's a couple games.
Okay,
Yeah.
here we are.
Right.
Yeah, it was when we beat Arizona in the bowl game, Holiday Bowl.
31 zip. Yep.
Not Arizona State, thank God.
Yeah, it was Arizona. 2009, Sue's last game. Dude went off too that night. Anyway, and that was the debut of like this zone read scheme that they started running even with Zach Lee. And I'm like, oh, what could be coming next year? So
Yeah.
anyway, do we have any official visitors coming in for the Akron game that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of. I've been more focused on the football, but not that I'm aware of. I don't think so.
Okay. I was just wondering, since it's a night game, that's always a great
Michigan
atmosphere to bring.
Probably bringing a lot to Michigan. I'm sure there will be some, but
Moonbot was at that game. You talking about the Arizona game in the Holiday Bowl? That's pretty cool.
That was in where was that at? Where's the Holiday Bowl?
That was in San Diego, I believe.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Because I went out to, they came out to, when I was stationed in Jacksonville, well, in Georgia, but it was exit 1 from Jacksonville. So Jacksonville's right there.
Yeah.
I flew home to visit, and then Nebraska made a bowl game in Jacksonville. I was so upset.
Yeah.
I'd already planned my leave, and it had been approved. And so, like, at that point, I couldn't change it.
Yeah.
And so I had it proven in advance, and then they ended up getting a bowl game, and I left
Jacksonville. That was the game we actually beat Georgia in too.
That was the
like
long, 99-yard touchdown. Was it Quincy and Nunwa or something?
Yeah,
like that?
Quincy and Nunwa, instead of punting, Tommy threw from the end zone.
I was dating a Georgia fan at the time too.
Oh, but that was spicy.
Oh, it was so much fun. I loved it. She was a little shithead.
Went to 12. Moonbot went to 12 straight holiday.
Damn, son. That's what's up.
Oh, nice. Free tickets. That's pretty sick.
That's dope.
That's a good hookup.
Yeah, I thought about one of these days it'd be cool to go to a bowl game. It's been a while. Last time I went to, I think the only bowl game I've been to was the first one when, or not the first one, but the first one when your mom and I first got married. Scott, it would have been Florida State in the Fiesta Bowl in 1989. So that would have been January of 1990. Yeah, that was not a fun game.
I was negative 1 year old there.
-1.
I was born in December that year.
Oh, all righty.
It felt like a bowl game. The atmosphere definitely did, for sure. I mean, kind of, because it's the opening game. You know, honestly, it's like all eyes are on it. Similar. That's why it's similar. All eyes are on it. National TV. You got to make a statement.
Didn't poop down our leg. That was kind of nice.
Yeah.
To win that, to do it twice in a row.
Thought we might have been on our way there.
We're looking like it. Certainly looking like it. And then to nut up and do what they needed to do to be a team that didn't flinch, that was pretty cool. Usually you see that collapse late, especially defensively. And I was like, oh no, once you got the penalty, and then it didn't happen. So
I will say I had confidence at the end. I had way more. I felt like we were going to get it done.
Yeah.
I really I wasn't too concerned on that last drive. I told my wife going into it, I was like, I think we're going to pull this out. But I told her, that's when I posted on X, win or lose, I think we're going to be disappointed in some ways at this.
Do you guys remember the last time we've won a game where we are trailing going into our final drive and we win a game with our final drive?
That's too much thinking.
That's a long time ago.
That's too much thinking.
That's when I know we've truly like gotten over that beast.
Damn, you ain't gonna give us we just won a 1-score game, interception, and you're not gonna give it to us then? That was a game we normally would have lost. And Scott's like, nope, not good enough still.
Nope.
Not good enough.
We're literally saying this is a game we would have lost last year, and he's like, it didn't show me nothing.
Yeah, that doesn't work. We got to come back in the fourth quarter and win on the last drive. Otherwise, nah.
I love it.
Interception,
never change.
That's what I'm here for.
Keep those standards.
We're doing it to Iowa this year.
Keep those standards high, baby. Let's go.
We're gonna kick a 53-yard field goal to win against Iowa.
If we don't beat y'all by 63, then it's disappointment. I love
Yep.
it.
I would love it to where I'd love to just have a game where we're playing somebody who's our equal or better, and we do what Florida State did to Alabama, where it's 14 points and there's nothing the other team can do, no matter what they try, even though they're quote unquote higher rated recruiting classes, all that good stuff. But we just come out and we lay the freaking wood to say, I don't know, in 3 weeks, maybe do that to Michigan, where nobody sees it coming.
Or
that
Penn
would
State.
be the coolest
Penn
thing.
State.
Or Penn State, go in there and then shut their crowd up, which is awfully hard to do in that big old place.
What would be funny is if Alabama ends up as Florida State of last year, because remember Florida State lost week 1 to Boston College. Well, the quarterback for Boston College was Thomas Castellanos, who was also Florida State's quarterback when they beat Bama. So he was Boston College's quarterback when they upset Florida State in week 1. And he was Florida State's quarterback when they upset Bama in week 1.
Yeah.
So
he's transferring to Bama next year. Is what
Castellanos, the giant killer, the giant slayer. You know, if Bama falls off, he might be
the Dragon Slayer.
Yeah,
crazy. So Moonbot has something. Give us a wild prediction for the game, like a certain play that will happen. Well, if you think it will happen, it's not necessarily wild, right? But go ahead.
Fumble, scoop, and score.
Oh, I was gonna actually say that one. That was the first thought that came to mind, was a strip sack.
That's just as wild as I think I can get. I don't know how much more, unless we're talking about like strip sack, fumble, defense recovers, they run it 10 yards, and then they fumble, and the offense picks it up and runs it back.
That would be wild.
That's wild.
For sure. Looks like Eckler's going to be pretty aggressive on punt as far as going for the block more often than not. So I'll say that. Block punt, return for a touchdown.
Let me go. I'll change mine, Scott, if you want that. I'll go punt return for TD.
All right. Yeah, I'm thinking strip sack. I'm thinking strip 6.
Strip 6, baby.
I'd take that.
We get all the above. That'd be fantastic. That's a great game.
That'd be an awesome game. It'd be an awesome game. You could sit the starters a lot sooner that way.
Yeah, and everybody's got to subscribe.
Not risk them.
Y'all got to subscribe here if we nail that.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks again for watching, everybody. Follow info. Where can folks find your show and what you're doing, Justin?
You can follow me at _H-Town Husker on X. Soon to be coming, there will be a Nebraska Voice College Football Twitter account that I'm starting up. And I'm posting probably a defensive film review tomorrow on the channel. So if y'all want to go over to Nebraska Football, the Voice College Football, check out my defensive film review. Might include a little offense as well. We'll see. But yeah, stay tuned for that.
Scott?
Hey, you can follow me on X at ScottGenRedPod. I have been a little bit more active, so.
Yes, you have.
Yeah. Follow me there for all sorts of tomfoolery.
And as always, genredpod.com is our website. You can follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at genredpod. genredpod@gmail.com to email us. And go get yourself some Generation Red merch. Go to genredpod.com, click in the gray bar at the top of the page, and that'll take you to where our merch is available. And we appreciate y'all for watching tonight. This was a lot of fun. It's always good to cover a win. And since 2021, we haven't covered a whole lot of them, Scott, and it's pretty cool that it looks like just maybe we could be seeing the beginning of something very special going on in Lincoln this year. So until next time, for Scott, myself, and Justin, we are Generation Red, and we are here every single week to remind you that there is no place like Nebraska.
And Iowa's corn sucks, and in Rule we trust.
Absolutely. Go Big Red. So we'll see you folks next week after we beat the living daylights out of the Zips. Gosh, that's going to be fun. Unfortunately, I'm going to be at a wedding reception. That's just my own personal hell, but that's what YouTube TV is for. So
that sucks for you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll watch it for you, buddy.
Yeah. Bye. Thoughts and prayers aimed my way, please. I'd appreciate it. All right. See you later, guys. That was fun.